Welcome to this week's edition of the Roundtable right here on TNSP Sports Net, where Vince Young gets released, some coaches get hired, some get fired, a few are desired. And plus, the playoff picture is right here. You're in the right spot. Check us out. I'm the Naughty Dread. Allow me to introduce you to my panel.
It's your man Gordon Robinson. You can check me out on Clouded Judgment right here on TNSP Sports Net.
I'm Khalil Thompson with Sports All Night, Sports All Day, and Sports Your Way right here on TNSP Sports Net.
Alright, we're going to jump right into this thing with breaking news. Bud Adams, Tennessee Titans owner, has made a decision, and Vince Young will be released. And Jeff Fisher will at least finish the last year on this contract, which we probably can expect an extension. Did Bud Adams get it right by making this move?
I personally think so. I mean, with some of the answers that Vince Young has pulled from pretty much crying on the sideline, not wanting to go back into the game, he pretty much quit on his team time after time again. He got all the talent in the world, but you can't put all your stock in that talent and disregard what Jeff Fisher's done for you for these past 13 years. I think he's been in the league, been coaching Tennessee.
And I agree that they should have let this guy go. I mean, just look at his track record since this dude's been here. This is the same guy who quit on his team, like you mentioned before. The same guy who was on suicide watch and disappeared and had everybody looking for him.
Fighting in the club.
Fighting in the club, he did. Then there's the whole thing where he wouldn't go back into the game this year because of the risk. The dude, he hasn't proven anything yet, and he seems spoiled. He's like a spoiled little rich kid who thinks that everything should be provided for him without you having to earn it. You did great at Texas. But in the NFL, it's a different ball game. He needs to grow up, and hopefully he can grow up with another team.
Is there another team for Vince Young? And if so, what would be the type of team, or if there's a team in particular that Vince Young could probably thrive in?
I mean, that's hard for me because when you think about what type of team a player needs to be in, you think stable organization, good coach, stable coach. And that's everything that Tennessee personifies as a franchise. Outside of Pittsburgh, I don't know where else you find a team that has that consistency. So I don't know where this guy goes, where he can resurrect his career, but he needs to be with somebody who's a good quarterbacks coach who can coach him up to be a better player.
Well, I think anywhere there's a fresh start is a better start for him. Simply because you have to, with a move like this, you being released, where the owners picked you, the coach instead of you humble yourself a little bit because you thought you were all world, you thought you were this all pro, and it would be me before you, and it didn't go down that way. So you're gonna go anywhere humble and start over. And he may have a Mike Vick type season where he has to sit back, watch what's going on, learn the game a little bit better, and then maybe emerge from after an injury or after somebody sees what he can do.
Well, we thought he probably already had that season when he got bitched that one time before Kerry Collins. But there is this team on the West Coast that seems to get the quarterback every year, and it just so happens they fired their coach. With the cable guy finally being shipped out. And there's a lot of coaches that have been burned by the hot seat. And there's been some coaches who have got by the hot seat. Which coaches deserve to be fired, and which coaches probably should have kept their job, if any?
Well, I'd definitely be a Raiders fan. I definitely think that Tom Cable should have kept his job. I mean, I understand I don't really understand Al Davis, so I'm not even gonna say that, but he should have kept his job. They won 6-0 in the division. The team went 8-8. It's the first time we haven't lost 11 games since 2002. He did a good job. Guys played hard for him. When your players believe in you, you keep that guy around. Now, the rumors are that Hugh Jackson is going to become the new head coach, and that and he was a big reason for the success that they had this year. But you don't fire the guy who headed the ship. If next year they don't make steps forward, then you say, okay, Jackson, this job's for you. But you don't just fire this dude right now. It just doesn't make sense to me.
But you have to understand, like you said, Al Davis. You get in bed with Al Davis, you have to know, that's politics of the game. You have to know at any given moment, you could be fired, you can be, he can call down and say, I want you to start this guy instead of that guy. And he thinks he's the genius. He has the smartest guy in the room syndrome. And that's what you get when you lay in bed with Al Davis.
Well, those guys, I mean, Tom Cable have been let go, and you know, Al Davis, this is what he does with coaches. He looks for the new coach. And Jerry Jones is a guy who does that often. You know, he takes from the Al Davis book of picking a coach, and he selected Jason Garrett to go ahead and take over the Cowboy job. Also, Leslie Frazier has been chosen by Ziggy Wolf to take over the Minnesota job. Were these hires good hires, or were they more hires because of the current CBA situation that we're about to deal with coming in a few months?
I think Leslie Frazier was a good hire, and I think the guy should have had a head coaching job a long time ago. But with Jason Garrett, I feel like it's a CBA reason. Jerry Jones doesn't want to invest that money into something right now, not knowing what the situation holds for next year going forward. So where do you go? You stick with the person you have. And that's, I mean, Wade Phillips wasn't even going to lose his job because Jerry Jones didn't want to mess up with the CBA stuff going on. So we'll see what happens. I mean, I don't trust the Cowboys. The owner's just hands-on too much.
I mean, I look at Jason Garrett's scenario, and I don't think it's too much CBA. I just think the fact that he was already Jerry Jones' boy. He wanted him to be the coach already. He just didn't have any experience. So Jerry Jones brought him in and brought Wade Phillips in basically as a tutor, as a mentor type guy. And while the Cowboys struggled, Wade Phillips took all the bullets until he felt like it was time for Jason Garrett to step on in and see if he could take the reins. But in terms of Leslie Frazier, you always want something that you don't have. Whenever you're looking for a new coach, you're looking for the opposite of the old coach. Wherein Brad Childress wasn't getting any respect. I'm sure he wasn't getting any respect around the locker room. So Leslie Frazier's a guy that demands respect. And he projects that confidence to his team, and that's why it was a good hire, because the players respect him. That's always something good in the NFL.
Well, Leslie Frazier seems to be more of that coach who's been deserving of a chance for a while and hadn't gotten it. While Jason Garrett seems to have been more of the hot commodity coach, you know, somebody not like a star, like he's been given the light. Now you have a situation where we got Oakland looking for a coach. You speaking of Josh McDaniel, Denver, let him go. They're looking for a coach. And now the big name right now is Jim Harbaugh. Now we hear Jim Harbaugh. We also hear the Bill Cowers. Y'all gonna see the John Grudens. Which one of these coaches, if you had to build a team, you have to start your team right now, which one of these coaches are you looking for to give him the big bucks to?
I'm giving it to Harbaugh all day. I mean, I love what Coward did, but he only won one Super Bowl in this entire time he was in Pittsburgh. Granted, he was consistently good that entire time. He was good, but he only won one. Mike Tomlin's been there how long? Won how many Super Bowls?
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes you got to find new, rejuvenated blood that's going to pump energy into your franchise. And Harbaugh, I mean, look, Stanford has players who are slower, who are not as good athletes as the rest of the teams in the country, just about. I mean, to get into Stanford, not only you have to be an athlete, you have to have grades.
Exactly.
So you have to be a true student athlete. And he coached. They demolished. They dominated in the Orange Bowl. And so this guy obviously knows what he's doing. His offense is pro style. It translates well to the NFL. I'm paying this man the money. I'm rolling the dice. His brother's doing well in Baltimore. I just trust him.
I personally think Harbaugh is a college coach. I think that's going to be him. I mean, sometimes it's tough to make that transition from college to the NFL. And from some of the things that he does, some of the things that he says, it's college type stuff that you can say certain things to 18 to 22 and 23-year-olds that you can't say to grown men, and they'll believe you, because we're not buying it. I've been through all that. So you can say all of that, but a guy like John Gruden, I personally, when Gruden was with Tampa Bay, when he was with Oakland, I didn't really too much care for him. I didn't buy the whole Chucky persona, the snarl, all that stuff. But listening to him on Monday Night Football, the guy knows his stuff. And listening to he's been doing great on a lot of these bowl games he's been doing. So I like him, and I like his personality a whole lot more. They made him much more personal now than he was before when he was coaching. I don't think he's gonna go and get one of these jobs. But if you're asking me who do I go get, I try my best to go get John Gruden.
Well, let's not forget though that Gruden, he kind of wore out his welcome in Oakland amongst the players. He got traded by Al Davis, but you know he yells a lot. And you know when grown men get yelled at all the time, that wears thin. Just ask Mike Singletary. He lost that team in San Francisco yelling too much, being too intense. And the same thing happened in Tampa with John Gruden. After a while, that dominant yelling wears on people and you start to lose guys. So that's the only thing I worry about with John Gruden. If you hire the dude, he's going to do a good job for you, but it's just for how long. You have a 5-year window with that guy. After that, you lose the team.
Well, with Jim Harbaugh, we do remember the captain comeback, Indianapolis Colts, playoffs, the brother of John Harbaugh, who coaches the Ravens now. And this weekend, what do you know? You got the Ravens going to Kansas City for a playoff game. You got Jim Harbaugh's old team, the Colts, got a rematch with the Jets. You got the Eagles in Green Bay. And then you got the first 7-9 team to make the playoffs having a home game against the Saints this weekend. Out of those matchups, which is the most intriguing playoff matchup this weekend, the game you have to see that can shake up the whole playoffs?
Me personally, I'm looking forward to Indy and the Jets. Because to say this, Peyton Manning is dangerous. We all know how dangerous he is. And you can basically wipe the slate clean as to what happened these past 16 games. It's a whole new season. And Peyton, if you don't think Peyton Manning is getting itchy and getting antsy to try to get to another Super Bowl, you can believe he's going to do everything in his power to try to get it. And that includes getting these guys the ball and probably going over the Jets to try to do it.
I want to see the Ravens and the Chiefs play because, honestly, I think these are the two teams that have the best opportunity of knocking off the Patriots. The familiarity that the Chiefs have with the Patriots organization. You got an offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, and a general manager, and a quarterback who came from this franchise, you know, and they do one thing that you have to do well to beat the Patriots. They run the football. And if they can run the football and keep Tom Brady off the field after they get past, if they can get past the Ravens, then you have an opportunity to win that game. And I want to see those two teams play because I think those two teams have the best opportunity to knock off the Patriots.
Well, real quick, I got a quick Q&A from the Twitter and Facebook people. My man West Palm, down in West Palm Beach, Dave, at DCPGA Dave, he wants to know, do you see Tiger Woods making a comeback next year in 2011?
I mean, he got to make a comeback. I mean, he can't get any worse than this. He at the bottom. I mean, the bottom for him is number 2. But, you know, this... it has to go up from here. He doesn't have all the distractions going on anymore. The wife is gone. The women ain't coming out the woodwork anymore. You know, now he can focus on playing the game. He's still gonna go see his kids in Sweden on the weekend. He'll be fine.
And he seems happier now that Elin is out of the picture.
And that's what I was getting ready to say. I think part of that is he can get back to being himself. I mean, a lot of the media spotlight has followed him around. And what's next Tiger gonna do now? Where Tiger can sit back and relax, be himself. If he wants to mess with these women, he can. Nobody's gonna judge him now because you're not a married man anymore. He just built this big super estate down in Florida to where he has like 5 or 6 swimming pools, the east wing, west wing, blah, blah, blah. He can get back to being his normal self, and that probably gonna translate over to his game to where he can get that competitive drive going again.
And real quick, just last week we had the NHL Winter Classic where they played outside Washington Capitals against the Pittsburgh Penguins in Pittsburgh. A game which the Washington Capitals won. Is an outdoor hockey game something that could bring a new audience? Is that something that will make you decide, look, I'm going to watch a hockey game tonight?
I mean, I think it's a noble concept. It's a gimmick game, and I think for a gimmick game, it's great. I mean, I never watch hockey. The game was on the other night. I was flipping through the channels, and it was snowing/raining outside. The game was outside on ice. I stopped and watched for a few minutes, you know. If that was played inside, I just would have kept on going. So I think it's a gimmick game that can at least bring attention to what the NHL is and the beauty of the game. I don't really see the full beauty, but I mean, somebody will, and maybe he'll make a comeback.
I feel like Khalil on that. I mean, I think it is a gimmick game. It's a novelty game. It's something that you can do once every blue moon, like the NFL goes to London, or you know, the NBA in Japan or China or whatever. It's one of those games you can only do once a year. Nobody can in the NHL can say, well, we're going to play at the outdoor stadium our entire season. Every home game we have, we're going to play outside. You can't really do that because I don't think some of these areas that North America on the north end, it's too cold. Fans, and then you have the weather. You said it was snowing and raining. Well, you'll eat that because it's just this one game, and you'll have that ticket forever to say I was there. But when you have however many home games they play, you're not gonna sit there and it's a blizzard. The next day it's a storm. You know, you're not gonna do that.
No, not at all, not at all. And then if you're in Canada also, I mean, man, could you imagine sitting out of the game in Ottawa and it's 10 degrees or minus 10 degrees? No, son, it's not gonna happen.
But you know what else happening is the round table right here on TNSP Sportsnet. Hey, it was good to have y'all this week. Also, make sure you check out the Skirts and Sports. And also, we got a new article about this homeless guy who gets a job in Cleveland. Hey, y'all need to check that out. Until next week, I'm your boy Naughty Dread. Eastside all day, for sure.
Check out Cloudy Judgment.
Go Raiders.